It's a question I have heard so many times. Why isn't Holiday in the Park coming back to Six Flags Great America? It's a question I've asked personally. I'm sure the park has been asked the question so many times. Well, we got an answer this week from Six Flags Great America's park president that was very thorough, maybe the most thorough answer to that question I have heard yet. And I don't think it's coming back, maybe ever. Let's talk about it. All right, so if you don't know, Holiday in the Park was a great Christmas time celebration at Great America here in Gurnee, Illinois. A bunch of Six Flags parks across the country do Holiday in the Park, their own version of it. Basically, there were holiday lights all over all the sections of the park. Different areas were really like themed out in different areas, and you just got to go to Great America during a season that you don't normally get to go because it usually ends at Fright Fest, and that was it. So to be there in December with all of the lights, they had s'more stations where you could make s'mores. Yes, some of the roller coasters were open, weather permitting. That was always a challenge, of course, being in the Chicagoland area. You never know what kind of winter you're going to get. It could be well below freezing every day. It could be in the 40s and 50s in December. You just didn't know. So some days you got lucky, some days you didn't. But the bottom line was it was just great to be in the park with all the holiday lights, and they really did a great job with this when they were doing it. It was just awesome to walk around through there. I told everybody I knew about it because I really wanted people to go. I was hoping the place would be packed so they would keep going with this, but that didn't happen, unfortunately, and a few years ago, they just stopped doing it. And there were a lot of people disappointed by that. I know the park has taken so many questions about it, like, hey, I really like this event. Why aren't you doing this event anymore? And they've kind of answered it here and there. I'm sure they're just getting so annoyed with getting the question. However, this week they were presenting at the Village of Gurnee at a board meeting about everything that's going on with Six Flags, how things have gone the last few years, what they've got in store for the future, about their new roller coaster they're building, Wrath of Rakshasa. And one of the board members, one of the trustees in Gurnee asked the question to Park President John Krajnak, said, hey, Holiday in the Park, I love that event. Why don't you bring that back? Everyone who went loved it. Why don't you do it? And he gave an answer, about 2.5 minute long answer as to why that's not happening. So I'm just going to play it for you. This is from their board meeting this week, and I'll play it and we'll talk about it after. Take a look.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it for 25 or 26 for sure. One of the big things was actually, it was around September, we cleared out an entire pole barn of a lot of our existing stuff, went out to our sister parks because it was just sitting there. It wasn't being used. We've used some here, but it went to good use at a lot of our sister parks that were still doing that. It honestly came down to dollars. I love the experience. I advocated for that. I fought for it. I wanted to keep it going, and up until that last year, where we had a little drive-through going, a little walk-through going, and it just didn't turn the profit that it needed to. It was about cash flow. A lot of season pass attendants, a little too much in the mix. That doesn't bring cash to extending the operation to that end. So I hear that a lot, that they won't let you do it anymore. Corporate made you stop and all that. It was a local decision. It was. And I hear a lot of people will also say, well, the weather. If weather was 40 degrees every single day, it didn't do it. It just didn't get there. I'm seeing now a couple of the parks on the Cedar side tap out of that business. I think they're under some of the expense scrutiny that we were under for a lot of those years. And I think they had maybe a little bit of a luxury that they could afford to do kind of maybe a break-even event. They're getting out of it. And it says a lot. I think there's some markets in warm weather that can do it. I think it really comes down to the brand and the association with the rides. And that's not what that event was. You weren't coming in December to ride Raging Bull. And that's really the deep association with the brand of Six Flags and the roller coasters and the experience. You didn't get all the way there. The park was beautiful. We did everything we could. I was proud that we changed our pricing, we changed our communication, we changed the product. We did. So a lot of times we'll take a shot at an event and say, and we won't do it anymore. That we ran hard at it for 5 years and it didn't get there. So I am always 31 years, 31 years, I know now, never say never. So I don't see it in the immediate future, but who knows beyond that as to where we may come around again. So that's the very long answer to your simple question.
So there you have it. That was his answer to the question. A couple of things that stuck out to me during that this is something I've been hearing from them for a while as I've made my pitch to them many times off camera, on camera, but also off camera to like, hey, please bring this back because I selfishly love it and I think it's great. They loved it too. They did love the experience. They were very proud of how it came together, how they were able to get all the lights up, what they were able to do to transform the park. It just was a numbers thing, and the numbers just never got there for how they needed it to get there as a business. Notable thing you heard there that was just back in September a few months ago, they gave a lot of their stuff away, their Holiday in the Park stuff, to other parks that are still doing this. Even though, as he mentioned, there are other parks in the chain now who are dialing back on this or not doing the event at all. So that's unfortunate to hear. Also was interesting to hear that it was a local decision. This wasn't the case of everyone at Great America was like, yeah, we're doing this event. It's fantastic. And the big bad CEO came in and unplugged it and said, no, you're not, and unplugged the lights. That didn't happen. It was something at their local level. I'm sure they are looking at their budget every year, where they're spending their money, what money is allocated to them to spend, and just deciding that that wasn't a good use of their resources anymore to do that. But it was interesting to hear him say that, yeah, it was definitely a local decision, and that it wasn't due to the weather either, because there was some speculation that, oh man, if only the weather was better here, people would pack that place. And even on great days when there was great weather, people just weren't going in the numbers that they needed them to go. And finally, I think the most interesting part of that was the sort of realization that the Six Flags park goer sees Great America and other Six Flags parks as thrill parks. They are thinking of the roller coasters, the rides. And so to go have people go to the park where a significant portion of the rides are not going to be open, and you're going to be having a different experience there instead of that maybe didn't connect to the audience for Great America the way that they were hoping that it would. Now, you could make an argument, I think a good argument, that it takes time to change that brand. It takes time to maybe not like completely change your brand, but to sort of amend your brand to say like, yes, we are a thrill place, but we're also an experience place. We want you to have a family experience here at Great America that might not be about screaming your head off on the biggest and baddest roller coaster in the world. It might be about your family just enjoying a nice time out, having some good food, walking around a park, and yeah, maybe getting on a spinner ride or a little coaster here and there. And that takes time to invest in multiple years of having the park open, really getting the communication out there about the event, getting creative with your press, with your media, with all of that, and really just sort of changing that brand over time. Now, it's not my money to spend, because you might be losing money on it for a period of time in order to reap those rewards down the line. But listen, they know their audience way better than I do. They do their research, I'm sure, as to what the guest wants at that park. And if you listen to the rest of this meeting, maybe I'll do another video on it. Great America is one of the top performing parks in the entire Six Flags chain. That includes the legacy Six Flags parks and the new Cedar Fair parks after the merger. They were one of the most, if not the most profitable park in the entire Six Flags, Cedar Fair, whatever you want to call it, the new Six Flags chain. That is a very significant thing. So business-wise, they're doing well at Great America. So it's hard to argue against their decision and what they're doing, even selfishly, if I want it. I want it to come back, and it sounds to me, if you're reading through all that, it is not coming back. I would be shocked if this experience ever comes back. But he did leave it open in the end and say never, because you just don't know. If things really turn around in a certain way, financially, for the business, for the chain overall, maybe they make another run at it. But I just don't know in this market if that's an experience that is going to bring in enough people. It's sad for me to say, because I did love it a lot. So what do you think? Would you like to see Holiday in the Park back? Do you understand more about why it's not back after hearing John's response there, after hearing his answer about it? And go ahead and leave your comments below. If you're a person that really wants them to do it, make your pitch. Maybe they'll read the comments, and maybe they'll put that in a file and say, hey, maybe we dust it off for a year down the line and see just maybe people's attitudes changed in a different environment. Who knows? So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to follow me everywhere on social media at Marcus Leshock. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel here and like this video. And listen, the real reason I'm making this video is because this is a question I get all the time. So if you ask me about it sometime down the line, I'm sending you the link to this video. Copy this link too if you know people who are asking the question, and send them this link if they ever want to know why Holiday in the Park went away, because I thought we got a really great answer about it. Peace out.